policy will concentrate to emphasize, to give lots of emphasis to ensure that the professional people are recruited in the field of education. In the past, education was thought of inferior. For example, inferior to the medical sector, inferior to the engineering sector. For example, I am Director Zavise Rume, but when another medical officer, medical doctor comes, then the superiority is given to the doctor who is specialized in medicine. So that type of superiority or inferiority to education in the past, and that is why, the education was thought of inferior to other professions like engineers, doctors, or civil administration, or even the paramedical like nursing or pharmacies, thinking that education can be handled by any normal person, any lay person, and we do not need much professional people. That was the thought, and that is why the public, they have lots of inferiorities, and administrators, politicians, lawmakers, they do education, they handle education without much professional consultation, and public do not feel any need for the professional consultation with the professional people. And there were so many people in the education sector without any education background, or in other words, without any professional training. And people feel, and but people could not understand the professional complexities involved in the professional field of education. People fail to understand, but slowly today this has led people to think that, I'm repeating, but education is the easiest subject which can be handled by any lay person. Education sector without professional background. So even during my 30 years ago, when we were young, when we were more handsome than today, we were called to teach, and we do not like to teach in the school. But today, people are hunting for the job even in the field of education, and there is a need for the people to get themselves professionally trained.
As we celebrate National Education Day, let's take a moment to recall the iconic personality whose birth anniversary we celebrate today. Dr. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad was the first Minister of Education in Free India, and he served as such from 1947 to 1958. And during his time, he brought in many changes and reforms in the educational system. And he was also somebody who wore many hats during his time. As a journalist, he was also a prolific writer, a freedom fighter, and an eminent educationist. And realizing the importance of education in new India, newly independent India, he initiated steps for making education accessible to all. He took many steps to eradicate illiteracy during this time. He also took steps for promoting science education, and he was also somebody who stood for women's rights, saying that national education would not be appropriate if half of the population was denied the right to education. So he was somebody who stood for the rights of women. He also called for modernizing the education system. So he was a very eminent educationist, and we are thankful to him today for all the reforms that he undertook in his time. So I think it's very apt that we are celebrating his birth anniversary even today. And so I'd like to urge the gathering to rethink and to reflect on his noble visions for the nation, even today. So that is something about Maulana, the learned one. And before I move on to the theme, I'd like to congratulate Dr. Zavise and his team for organizing this program and making sure that participants from different organizations are there, from different colleges are there. So, we wish him and his team all the best in the days to come also. And I'm hopeful that, with the kind of work and efforts that they are putting in, we'll see many good changes in our education system in the state also.
So I'll start with, they actually, so today is the National Day of Education, as you're aware. There's also an International Day of Education, so which happens to be on 24 January every year. And this year is dedicated to Afghani women and girls. And the National Education Day, as speakers before me had spoken, had mentioned, this is in honor of our first Education Minister, Sri Maulana Andhra. So this is being celebrated every year on the 11th of November. So our state, along with the rest of the country, is observing it today. And I wish you all a very happy National Education Day. So today I sort of, in my speech, want to talk about two aspects, two themes, so to say. One is investing in people and prioritizing education. That's one aspect. The other is I would also, we've had a resource person talk in length about this year's theme, Innovative Learning for Sustainable Future. So I sort of want to add on certain aspects to it because this is extremely pertinent in this time and age because unless and until we innovate and adapt, like our resource person had mentioned, we might not have a very promising future, so to say. There are a lot of changes that we have to sort of rapidly make in the way we conduct our lives across the world. And education and thinking out of the box is at the center of this particular aspect. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is about investing in people. So, world over, if you look at countries which have prioritized investment in education, they've seen rapid progress in all fields. It could be economic, it could be social. They've seen rapid progress. Those countries which have been behind the curve in terms of their investment in education, they have not been so successful in terms of, you choose the indicator, you will see that they're not at the top of the game. So there's several other. So this is one extremely important thing. So if you look at our country, only about 2% of the budget goes into education. And our state, for example, I'll just give you a statistic. We spend about 1,700 crores every year in the salaries for employees of the Department of School Education. So given the fact that our state, there are resource constraints, spending most of or almost 90% just goes into paying the salaries, which leaves us with very, very little for investment in education. It could be multiple things. It could be school infrastructure, it could be building a digital ecosystem for our kids. So there are massive concerns there. So, at this point in time, before I go further on this particular topic, I just want to give you a sense of what is it that we're looking at the Department of School Education at this point in time. In terms of, how do we prioritize and ensure that we invest more on areas that are going to have the maximum impact going forward. So there are 5 pillars to what we're looking at as far as the Department of School Education is concerned. One is the first pillar would be the foundational literacy numeracy. Because studying all over the world is just common sense basically. Any number of interventions you do at a later point in time, unless and until the kids have a very strong foundation. So if I have in my school, if I have a kid who's in class 7 who's unable to read text of class 3, or is unable to do very simple subtraction or addition or division or multiplication for that matter, any number of interventions I do at that point in time or a later point in time is simply not going to help. So, one of the first area where you need to put in a lot of resources is the foundational literacy and numeracy.
Director, School Education, Resource Person, Professor Thavaseelan Department of Education, Nagaland University, President NEA, press and media community, educators, students, student teachers, ladies and gentlemen present. Firstly, a very good afternoon to you all. Well, we have a fulfilling and a memorable celebration of National Education Day with the rest of the country. Many good things were shared and learned. The Secretary for Information and Public Relations, NEA, Ms. Natalie Nyoripro, extended a warm welcome to all the well-wishers of NEA and everyone present to celebrate the National Education Day. She added that the day is also a celebration of the transformative power of education. The President of NEA, Dr. Zavise, in his presidential address, wishes every attendant a warm National Education Day, and that all of us should be proud in the observance of the day. He added that that in 2008, it was decided that 11th November will be observed as National Education Day, which also which was the birthday of our first Education Minister, Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, and he highlighted on the objective, also on the objective of the formation of National Education, Nagaland Education Association, that it is the only professional association when it comes to education, and its objective is to initiate and organize a healthy interaction on the various issues of education in the state through panel discussion, talks, and observation of day like this. He also stressed on the importance of professionalism in the field of education.
Nagaland TV, Sop Manulaga Awas. Watch us live on Geo TV and on your television sets as well. For Dimapu viewers, we are on channel number 994 in Global Chapter, and Kohima and Mokokchung viewers, switch to channel number 138 on Hornbill Digital. For all news and updates, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.